morning, class. This is Tamala Anderson. We're going to take a look at digital identity and the elements of visual rhetoric for journalists. We're going to talk to Dr. Richard Welch, Dr. Colleen McEdwards, and Dr. Douglas Barflow to see what they have to say about digital identity and the visual rhetoric of journalism. Stay tuned.
Digital identity, from what I can gather, refers to not necessarily how you brand yourself, but how you present yourself. And so for me, digital identity is how do you put forward an image that you want other people to A, understand, B, accept. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it, it's how you position yourself, it's how you dress. All of those elements become critical to developing a good digital identity. It's a matter of practice. It's just like anything else in journalism. You learn by doing. And if you're not doing, you're not learning. So again, it goes back to those basics of vocalics. How do I control my voice? But a couple of the things that I've noticed for students. One is whispering, which doesn't make any sense. And that really is a function of where you're holding your microphone. The other is going too fast. The other is looking away. The other is not engaging with the lens, which you should as a journalist. Now, your interviewees shouldn't be doing that, but as the journalist, you should be engaging with that lens. The reality is, capture the attention with the news. You don't have to be cute. You have to give the person news. You know, people may read a story because the lead is cute, but if it takes too long for me to find out what this news is about, I'm moving elsewhere. And with the news on the internet, that process is much faster. I used to say you have the first sentence in order to capture the attention of somebody. Right now, you have 3 seconds to capture the attention of somebody to a news story. You're not going to get their attention by being cute. In terms
of how it's different, I think the public's ability to be the citizen journalist has really changed how we feel about video. It doesn't have to be pristine anymore. People don't mind a video that's maybe not great quality as long as they can hear it well, because it tells a story. It shows them at the scene, or it shows something on video that you couldn't get in a studio with perfect lighting and everything perfectly set up. I know some young people have even said to me, if the video looks too good, if the quality's too good, I almost don't trust it. There's more trust now in what a citizen journalist could gather than perhaps the best of the media organizations as well. Personal brand is also a relatively new development in digital media. What does it mean? It means that every single one of us can publish. Every single one of us can shape opinion. You don't have to get invited to write a guest column in the New York Times or the AJC to put your column, to put your views and opinions out there in digital media. So establishing that brand, managing it, and being responsible with it is really, really important. There are a lot of people who've made their names blogging, have made their names on social media, and the good ones have to manage those brands. They have to be very careful to make sure that what they're saying is perceived and conveyed in a way that they want to convey it. So we have all this freedom right now, but with that freedom comes a great responsibility and great risk. You don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to put something out there that harms your personal brand, and you have to think, what do I stand for? What do I want to convey? What good am I going to do in the digital ecosystem that couldn't be done before? What statement do I want to make, and how am I going to manage that brand and make sure that my communication comes across the way I want it to? Certainly, I think the visual medium is a powerful medium. The visual medium is a powerful medium. How you look and how you sound matter a lot, and there's a lot of research behind this. that how you look and how you sound actually can make a bigger impression than what you actually say. So certainly how you come across is important. But I would discourage you from thinking about, oh, it's a certain look or it's a certain persona. Now, certainly some people who've branded themselves in digital media have a certain look. They have a certain persona, and some of them have probably thought about it and managed it and produced it very well. I think the most important thing about the visual and the image is that it's authentic. If it's not authentic, people will see through it right away. So as long as it's authentic, as long as you're not putting on hats that aren't you, and putting on a persona that's not you, it will work for you.
Well, there's a couple of aspects to digital identity in journalism. One aspect would be that the journalist needs to have a digital identity to be found by members of their audience. And so one of the things that is a requirement for journalists is to have a Facebook page, their own, a Twitter page that is their own, and other than that, there's so many other ways of having a digital identity, it almost makes it a full-time job for you to keep up with it. But many journalists have found Instagram and Reddit, and I mean, the list goes on and on. The fact is that when people think of news nowadays, a lot of times their very first choice is to go searching on the internet. And so with the journalists not having a presence on the internet in a variety of different ways, they won't be found by a huge number of people. And so that's why a digital identity, just in terms of the journalists themselves as an individual, is important. Now, another way to look at it is the digital presence that the journalist needs to find of others. And so it's not their personal identity that we're talking about now. Now it's the journalist finding other digital identities in order to access, say, an interview subject or an expert, to find out information that they could get from other people in the digital realm. And so when I think of digital identity for the journalist, I don't think of them as having it just for themselves. I think of them having the ability to find other digital identities of people for the journalist, not just of the journalist, but for the journalist.
Well, in terms of visuals, without having the context of the words of the reporter or someone who they're interviewing, the visuals all by themselves, yes, they can tell a story. I'm not saying that visuals aren't important. What I'm saying is that the context for the audience to understand what they're seeing, that usually is an oral component. And so we call it voiceovers. You hear the reporter's voice, but you don't see the reporter, and they're giving out information. And that information, along with the visuals, can be a very powerful, informative tool for your audience. But when the visuals don't jive or are in sync with the words, research has shown the audience is not going to remember the words. They're going to remember the visuals, because that's the way our brain functions, is that the visual sense will always take over. And so they're going to lose the context if you don't supply the right words. And so part of the TV newscast class is designed to make sure that the students understand that when you're saying certain words, you need to have the visuals exactly the same. It sounds trite, but that's true. And for so many stories in news, it's really difficult to do that on a consistent basis, minute by minute in a story, let alone across all of the stories in a newscast. But that's the art of it, is to try to marry words with the pictures and make sure that when you're saying something, the visuals aren't astray from that.
Thank you, class, for joining me, and for the sake of time, I'm going to sign off, and good luck with your finals, and have a great summer.